Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, I was raised to believe that teaching and learning could only happen face to face. However, I was wrong. I have to adopt in order to learn new things now. Assalamualaikum and good day to all of you. Before I proceed, let me introduce myself. My name is Puan Hajah Sharuliza binti Saad. I'm a teacher teaching in SMK Ibrahim, Sungai Petani, Kedah. Today, I'm going to share with all of you some ideas and insights of conducting classroom assessment or Pentaksiran Bilik Darjah PBD for English Language Form 5. Before I start, I would like to say thank you to Sektor Pembelajaran JPN Kedah and SSTP Kedah for giving me the chance to appear in front of all of you. I really hope my sharing today will benefit us one way or another. So, without further ado, let me continue. Ladies and gentlemen, what is classroom assessment? Classroom assessment or Pentaksiran Bilik Darjah is an ongoing assessment in teaching and learning session to obtain information on students' development, progress, abilities, and achievement. PBD occurs in informative and summative assessment as learning, for learning, and of learning. You might be wondering, you might be asking, why do we need to do PBD? Number one, it will help teachers in tracking their pupils' progress as a whole. Number two, it can help teachers to identify strengths and weaknesses of students in their learning process. Number three, it can help teachers to plan and to modify their teaching methods. And last but not least, it can help teachers to take appropriate actions, to take appropriate follow-up actions immediately. There are two types of PBD. One is formative and the other one is summative. For formative assessment, we are actually referring to assessment for learning and assessment as learning. For summative assessment, we are referring to assessment of learning. Okay, on to my next slide. There are 9 elements of PBD. Number 1, it is planned by teachers. It must be planned by teachers. Okay, if you refer to SKPMG 2 Standard 4, that is 4.1, teacher as a planner is very much applicable here. It is a careful plan by teachers. Number 2, methods of assessment. There are 3 methods of assessment. Okay, that is through observation, written assessment, and also oral assessment. Element number 3, formative or summative. This is the element which is much relevant to SKPMG 2 Standard 4, that is teacher as an assessor. Element number 4, it must be systematic. This refers to the methods of assessment that the teacher is going to use, the instruments needed, the skills to be tested, and when it is to be tested. All of these must be carefully planned by the teachers. Okay, element number 5. It must be criterion based. So when it is criterion based, teachers, you must always refer to the SKP to refer to which criteria that you are going to test. Okay, and element number 6, it must be focused on pupils' progress. Okay, and element number 7, it must track on pupils' progress. It must track on students' progress in learning. Element number 8, it has to have intervention. Okay, for intervention, it is a follow-up action that a teacher can take for their weak students. Okay, and it will help the students to improve. Okay, number 9, encouragement. Okay, in PBD, we do encourage students through peer assessment and also their self-assessment. From there, the students will be motivated to learn further. Okay, now on to my next slide. Okay, here are the teacher's reference. Okay, here are some documents the teachers need to refer to when planning the lesson and planning the PBD. Okay, they are dokumen standard kurikulum dan pentaksiran tingkatan 5, buku panduan pelaksanaan pentaksiran bilik darjah, Form 5 English download textbook, and last but not least, KSSM Form 5 scheme of work. Okay, in this slide, okay, you can see this is the content standard and the learning standard that I am going to refer to. They are derived from KSSM Form 5 scheme of work. You will also get to refer to suggested learning outline and differentiated strategies in this document. This is a lesson that I planned for my students, and I planned it to suit my students' ability. This learning outline is to give you the overall idea on how you can conduct PBD during your teaching and learning session. For this lesson, I'm going to share, for the lesson that I'm going to share later, I will be focusing on the reading skill. The content standard that I have chosen for this lesson is 3.1 and the learning standard that I have chosen is 3.1.5. So, the lesson is focusing on teaching the pupils to understand a variety of text by using a range of appropriate reading strategies to construct meaning. From the SKP page 31, we get to see the Performance Standards Guide for reading. Please be sure to read the descriptors, highlight the important keywords and notes before you start planning for the assessment. This is important in order to make sure the teachers are well versed with the assessment criterion before awarding the students with appropriate performance level. I will show you these keywords. I will show you how these keywords help you in planning your assessment criteria in later slides. Okay? Okay, for the topic that I'm going to do with my students is Life's Great Mysteries. And the theme is People and Culture. I'm referring to lesson 11 from the scheme of work, page 36. And I have pupils of intermediate level in my class. Again, the content standard of this lesson is reading 3.1 and the learning standard is reading 3.1.5. Okay, let me read the content standard. Okay, for 3.1, understand a variety of texts by using a range of appropriate reading strategies to construct meaning. And for learning standard 3.1.5, the recognize independently the attitude and opinion of the writer in extended text on a wide range of familiar topics and some unfamiliar topics. All right. For the complementary skills, it is speaking 2.4 and the learning standard is 2.4.1. Let me read the speaking content standard 2.4. Communicate appropriately to a small or large group on familiar topics. The learning standard for speaking is 2.4.1. Explain the main points of an idea or argument. Ladies and gentlemen, when we do our planning, make sure we take into consideration the suitable methods of assessment. For this particular lesson, the assessment could be done through observation, the oral assessment, and also written assessment. Okay? As for me, I'm going to do all. Okay, I'm going to do observation, oral assessment, and written assessment. Okay, next. So, after studying the scheme of work and the textbook, for this double period lesson, the objectives that I have chosen are, number 1, by the end of the lesson, pupils will be able to show understanding of the main points in the article about a house of mystery by answering 3 out of 5 multiple choice questions that focus on the main points. Okay. Second objectives. By the end of the lesson, pupils will be able to explain if they believe in some creatures, for example, ghosts, aliens, mermaids, and etc., and if the creatures are more likely to exist than others, and they have to provide a reason, explanation, or anecdotes to justify their answers in at least 3 sentences. Here is the page that we are going to refer to in the English download textbook. If you have the English download textbook with you, please refer to pages 18 and 19. For this lesson, I have chosen task 1 and task 2 for complementary speaking skills. And for task 3 and 4, they are for reading skills. Okay, for task 1, pupils read the words in activity 1, that is in page 18, and tick on the boxes if they believe the creatures mentioned. In task 2, pupils explain and justify their answers in activity 1. Next, for task 3, pupils need to read the text and tell the class which of the creatures are mentioned in the text. And in task 4, pupils will read the questions in activity 4 and choose the correct answer. That is in page 19. Ladies and gentlemen, each lesson should start with something fun and interesting for pupils to be motivated and to want to learn more, right? For this particular lesson, I have decided to use mini whiteboard, which are laminated B3 paper. They will work in groups and write as many words as they can, the words that are related to mysteries. Okay, all of these are done in set induction. For activity 1, pupils read the words in activity 1, okay, that is in page 18, and tick in the boxes of the creatures they believe in. For task 2, pupils work in new pairs. Okay, in new pairs, pupils will explain to their new partners the ideas from their discussion. Okay. Next, in task 3 or activity 3, pupils read the article entitled A House of Mysteries on pages 18 and 19. And in activity 4, here is the main activity in which I will be doing the assessment. Pupils are to read again the article and answer the comprehension questions. The method of assessment that I will use here is oral assessment, written assessment, and my own observation. Okay, the instrument used is the exercises from the textbook. Here is my instrument 1 for the assessment. This is taken from the textbook pages 18 and 19. Pupils are required to choose the best answers. I will be observing their ability to infer to the reading article in order to complete their task. In order to award the pupils with appropriate performance level, I will be observing their ability to complete the task. For performance level number 1, or in BM we say as tahap penguasaan 1, TP1. Okay, here we can see if the student can display minimal understanding of the main ideas, specific details, and information in extended text with a lot of support. Okay, here you can see the keywords that you need to recognize is can display minimal understanding, okay, with a lot of support. Okay, for PL2, pupils can display some understanding of the main ideas, specific details and information in extended text with a lot of support. Okay, here again, the keywords are can display some understanding and also with a lot of support. For PL3, the students can understand the main ideas, specific details, and information in the extended text adequately. All right, here the keywords are can understand the main ideas adequately. Okay, please take note that I will award PL1 and PL2 if students scored anything lower than 3/5 in task 4. Okay, in this slide, I will only reward my students with PL4 if they can understand the main ideas, specific details, and information in extended text by responding clearly to given tasks most of the time. Okay, the keywords are can understand, responding clearly, most of the times. For PL4, the pupils still need guidance and support from teacher and also their peers. Now let's go to PL5. Okay, PL5 will be awarded to pupils if they can understand the main ideas, specific details, and information in extended text by responding clearly to given tasks at all time. Okay, the keywords are can understand, responding clearly, at all time. Okay, PL5 is awarded to pupils who can respond correctly, but they still need minimal support from their teacher. And last but not least, PL6. For PL6, will be awarded to students who can understand the main ideas, specific details, and information in extended text by responding effectively to given tasks at all times. Okay, the keywords are can understand, effectively, at all times. What does effectively mean? It means when they give their answers, the pupils are able to explain further by giving reasons, sharing ideas and responses. All of this done through the teacher's observation and through their written assessment. So, ladies and gentlemen, can you see now how we can award performance level? If pupils have very little to adequate ability to express ideas and opinion on this topic, the PL should not be more than 3. And if pupils manage to show understanding of the main ideas excellently or with little support from teacher, please consider giving them PL4 and above. The lesson will end with pupils answering the last question orally to the class. From here, the teacher can observe if pupils are able to perform the task. Those pupils who are weak would only be able to answer yes or no to the question, is the house truly haunted? Yes or no? However, if the pupils respond to it clearly and effectively by giving reasons to support their answers, then they should be given PL4 up until PL6. So, can you now see parts of my lesson which I have chosen to assess my students? It might look and sound complicated, but trust me, with proper planning and consistent practice, you will find the classroom assessment such an impactful way to improve teaching as well as your students' learning. Okay, on to my next slide. Okay, this is the sample of my pupils' assessment record. Okay, in order to make my assessment valid and my observation valid, I have also prepared the pupils' assessment record. However, this is only a sample from my own lesson. It actually depends on your creativity how to come up with pupils' assessment record. Please note that in PBD, we have a variety of ways to record written assessment. The evidence is not necessarily be only in the pupils' exercise book like what we normally do, but it can, for reading activity, it can also be assessed through oral and observation method. Like me, I always have a stamp ready to stamp on my pupils' book every time after I have completed an assessment. This is my own way to conduct my PBD. Okay. If you refer to buku panduan pengurusan PBD, pages 46 and 47, you will get to learn how to record and analyze your pupils' progress from time to time. There are no specific ways of recording the progress. It all depends on your preference as long as it is systematic, attainable, and helpful in doing the professional judgment for the overall performance as well as the suitable intervention in the future. Now, this is the most crucial and interesting part. How do you record the pupils' progress in learning? One of the way of doing this is through your preferred way of keeping the track record. You may use Microsoft Excel template to record your pupils' progress. You may want to have a name list with their progress in the teaching record book or buku record mengajar. You can also have a sort of checklist with a statement, marking symbol, marks and grades for your pupils' work. And the progress report can either be in a written or oral form, which includes the student's performance level, the anecdotes, and the suggested intervention to improve pupils' potential in learning. Okay, all of this is taken in buku panduan pengurusan PBD, pages 46 and 47. You can always refer to buku panduan pengurusan PBD. Ladies and gentlemen, if you notice, the lesson and the assessment that I shared with you just now are for face-to-face teaching and learning. However, if you want to do it online through PDPR, you can always follow my suggestions here. Number one, we can either choose to go fully online by utilizing digital platforms like Google Meet, Zoom, Kahoot, and etc. Or you can use fully offline PDPR by making full use of the textbooks and exercises and also modules. And last but not least, we can choose both online and offline methods by asking our students to read the article in the textbook, and then later they will fill in the answers in Google Form or maybe live worksheet. These are only some suggestions from me for you to conduct lessons with your pupils. It all depends on a teacher's planning, creativity, and willingness. We have come to the end of my presentation. I hope I have shared some knowledge and ideas with all of you teachers out there. Hopefully, you can apply in your teaching and your students' learning later. I wish you all the best and see you later. With that, I thank you. Para penonton yang dikasihi, sila isikan maklum balas program di pautan http://bit.ly/MAPBD Kedah 2021.